Did you know that in a single breath, more molecules of air will pass through your nose than there are grains of sand in all of the world's beaches? Trillions and trillions of them. Breathing is about much more than simple gas exchange or cardiovascular fitness. We inhale and exhale more than 20,000 times a day, and the way in which we do so has tremendous effect on our well-being and the way we move our bodies. How we breathe is who we are. Today I'll cover 5 things I wish I knew about breathing that have completely transformed my life. If you're new to the channel, I'm Modern Monk, and here I explore and promote ways to have more mindfulness in our daily lives, a skill that will help you stay in the present moment and enjoy it more, which is the key to living a happier life, because the present moment is all we really have. A few years ago, I thought breathing was just a thing we do, never paying much attention to it. It all shifted when I wanted to learn long-distance freestyle swimming. The very first thing you need to do when you're learning that is how to breathe and how to stay calm underwater. I remember diving deep into the research. I was shocked by the abundance of information there is about the simple thing we do every single day thousands of times without even thinking about it. Fast forward some months later, I have greatly improved my stress management, my mental well-being, my cardiovascular fitness, and with the help of some mindfulness practice, even unlocked higher levels of consciousness. The 5 things I'm about to share do not begin to cover how important breathing is, but will hopefully give you some interest to go and explore this topic on your own. The very first thing I wish I knew about breathing is that it is a skill that needs learning. You might be thinking, what do you mean? I know how to breathe, I'm doing it all the time. But there's a big difference between just breathing and conscious breathing. By first becoming conscious of your breathing, by becoming mindful of it, you can have tremendous effect on your health, mood, energy, state of mind, and literally your entire being. Breathing is very subtle, and there's a lot of things going on during each breath cycle. A lot of things that can go wrong. For example, try this simple test to see what I mean. Lie on your back with one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. Then just breathe normally without putting much thought or effort into it. Notice which hand is rising and falling. Is it the one on your chest or is it the one on your belly? Or maybe it's both, or neither. Some people tend to flare their ribs out, primarily breathing into the chest while the belly remains flat. This creates tightness in the upper body and makes full exhalation very difficult. Others breathe primarily into the belly, which tilts the pelvis forward. Some might be totally compressed, having difficulty moving air in and out altogether. This is because they cannot expand the ribcage fully during each inhalation, showing that their diaphragm is really weak. And the diaphragm is one of the most important muscles in the human body to living a long and healthy life. The second thing I wish I knew about breathing is that it is like a power switch to a vast network we call the autonomic nervous system. Deep and steady breathing stimulates the calming parasympathetic nervous system, while fast and rigid breathing stimulates its counterpart, the sympathetic nervous system. That's part of the fight or flight response. In other words, with the help of your breathing, you can control the entire nervous system. And your nervous system controls, well, everything.
Captain Obvious.
Isn't that amazing? In the same way you can bend your arm using your biceps, you can slow your heart rate down or fasten it. You can influence how sleepy you are by energizing yourself or calming yourself down. You can influence your digestion, you can change your body temperature, all with the simple thing we do thousands of times a day without even thinking. You can even release stress hormones on command. There's this famous guy Wim Hof who has used his breathing technique to not get sick while being injected with E. coli bacteria. So you can even influence your immune system. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Your nervous system, as I said, controls, well, everything.
Captain Obvious.
It is truly remarkable the level of control you can attain over your body with the help of your breath. Next thing I wish I knew is how breathing affects us on the external physical level. It's of course no secret that movement is essential to living a healthy and happy life. It's very subtle, but the way in which someone breathes gives tremendous insight on how well they move their body and, more importantly, how they stabilize their movements. In one study, researchers found that combining a breathing exercise with a weight exercise reduced the subject's ability to stabilize their spine. In other words, if you're shoveling snow and breathing too hard, you're at a higher risk of developing a back injury. Proper breathing affects so many physical parameters: rib position, neck extension, the shape of the spine, and even the way our feet are positioned on the ground. The way we breathe essentially reflects how we interact with the world. Here's an exercise you can try to build awareness of the breath and strengthen the diaphragm at the same time. Lie on your back with your legs on a bench or a chair, and then breathe in as quietly as possible with the least amount of movement. An ideal inhalation expands the entire ribcage, the front, the sides, the back, while the belly expands at the same time. Then exhale fully through pursed lips. Pursed lips allows maximum compression and resistance, which helps strengthen the diaphragm. Let all the air out, fully emptying yourself before your shoulders start to round or your jaw gets too tense. You'll quickly notice how a good inhale prepares for a good exhale, and vice versa. Repeat that like 5 times for 3 to 4 sets, and do it as many times throughout your day as you feel comfortable. Try to develop awareness of your abdomen being a cylinder surrounded by a wall of muscle. The inflation of the cylinder is super important for safe movement because it essentially stabilizes the spine. Another thing I wish I knew about breathing is that breathing less will have you live longer. There's an ancient Japan legend saying that a samurai would test a soldier's readiness by placing a feather beneath his nostrils. If the feather moved while the soldier was inhaling or exhaling, he would be dismissed. In today's culture, just as overeating is a big problem, so is overbreathing. It's hard to measure rates of breathing because there are fewer studies and the results are inconsistent. However, with the information that we do have, we know that we're breathing about 2 times more than we used to. When we breathe too much, we expel too much carbon dioxide, which makes our blood pH rise and makes the blood more alkaline. When we breathe slower and hold in more CO2, our blood pH drops, making it more acidic. Almost all cellular functions happen at a pH of 7.4, our sweet spot between alkaline and acidic. So by unconsciously breathing too much, we take ourselves out of this sweet spot, and that can have devastating effects on our health, especially if it's been going on for weeks, months, or even years. The fix is easy, just breathe less, but that is easier said than done. In the same way our environment has conditioned us to eat too much, it has also conditioned us to breathe too much. To breathe less and to be comfortable with it, you will essentially need to level up your CO2 tolerance. You can do that by spending 10 to 20 minutes doing breathing exercises each day. I actually have some guided breathworks on my channel that will help you do just that. At the same time, they can help you elevate your mood, energy, reduce stress, anxiety, and hopefully have you enjoy the process itself. Do check them out. The link to the playlist will be in the description if you're interested. Remember, the key to optimum breathing and all the health, endurance, and longevity benefits that come with it is to practice fewer inhalations and exhalations with the least amount of volume. To breathe, but to breathe less. I like the yogi perspective on this. The yogi's life is not measured by the number of his days, but by the number of his breaths, wrote B.K.S. Yeneger, a famous yoga teacher who spent years in bed as a sickly child until he learned yoga, and breathed himself back to health to die aged 95. Another thing I really wish I knew about breathing is how important is nose breathing. Imagine for a moment holding a billiard ball in front of your face at eye level. Then imagine slowly pushing that entire ball inside the center of your face. The volume of that ball, about 100 milliliters or 6 cubic inches, is equivalent to the total space of all the cavities and passageways that make up the interior of the adult nose. The main takeaway is to always breathe through your nose, unless you're doing some vigorous exercise. Mouth breathing commonly leads to overbreathing, which means that you're passively stimulating your sympathetic nervous system. In other words, you're constantly putting yourself under stress just by breathing too much. The sinuses in the nose also release this amazing molecule called the nitric oxide. It is responsible for circulation and delivering oxygen into cells. Immune function, weight, mood, and even your sexual function are all highly linked to the amount of this molecule in your body. The nostrils even pulse to their own rhythm, unique to all of us, opening and closing like a flower's petals in response to our moods and mental states. If you have been breathing through your mouth for a long time, it might be really hard to start breathing through your nose again, especially during exercise. However, remember that your sinuses can still expand and adapt, you just need to use them. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. And that is all the things I wanted to share with you today. I hope this gives you some interest to go and explore this topic on your own. If you found this interesting, you might also enjoy this video where I talk about the specific breathing technique that has completely changed my life. Or this video where I talk about how to start enjoying meditation, a skill that will have you enjoying and appreciating every single breath if you give it enough time. Thank you all so very much for watching, stay mindful, and I hope to see you in the next one.